All right, so I got the bat pad, got my clay. Let's get it. There's some time to make sure it's attached. So the plate, one thing that the coning up and coning down does is it kind of gets platelets in lined. And I really want to make sure everything's lined up well for a plate to help reduce the risk of cracking. So I'm going to cone up another time. It's feeling good. So I'm going to try and get it down to probably about that width. Trying to like flatten it, keep it probably about that high so I have enough on the bottom to trim and add a little flare. It's just steady, slow downward pressure, starts to widen. So this could be like the eating surface. It will shrink a little bit. So there's this part of your hand right there where your finger kind of goes and then there hits the bone and it kind of like goes around and then drops a little bit. So there's this little place that you can use to push a little bit of clay outwards with like the whole arm behind it just kind of. So that's what I'm going to try and do to get a little more of the clay out. I'm going to keep the sponge here so when I squeeze it, water gets added kind of right where I need it. So I don't have to stop and I can go one motion, but if my hand feels like it's sticking, I can make sure that it doesn't. And as I get farther out, the clay is going through my hand a little faster because there's a larger circumference. Here's a smaller circumference, so it doesn't there's not as much clay moving past my hand at each time. So I'll probably slow the spinning of the wheel as I get further out. You can see that little crevice. That's not bad. And it's got I don't know, about like that thickness. Seems pretty good. And out here, I already have this little thing going on, so I can just pull that up a little. I'm gonna try and get this a little flatter. check that design that I have one more time. So I got those sketches here. Trying to remember what I'm aiming for. Use the rib to help compress. Identify sort of that eating surface. Some nice downward pressure. So I had to pause just for a second. I wanted to go check out and see what the actual plate that I made looks like. So to kind of remind myself what that profile looks like, how big of a rim there is, what's the angle. So I'm going to try and set this out of the way where I won't get clay all over it, because that's already been missed and I don't want to get any schmutz on it. So I'm going to set it kind of over here, out of the way, but I can still see it. And I can like look over, kind of like, see what's going on. So let's get back to it, yeah? Kind of like that. We can press the rim a little bit. It's feeling good, feeling good. I'm gonna take that curved section right there. Make sure there's enough moisture on the outside. Just use that. There you go. So here comes a tricky piece. Cutting it off of that board, cutting it off of the bat. I'm going to use this rib and try and clean up the bat a little bit. Slow and steady, man, slow and steady. Take your time, take your time. Maybe, let's not cut my fingers, yeah? Scheiße. See a little splotch? That's no good. All right. Fingertips on the wire on the bat. Wash my fingers so that they don't hit the edge of the plate. Woo! There you go. That's plate number one. That is heavy because it's thick down there, but like that's kind of what you need. You need a lot of clay under there. So it's going to take a long time to dry. So before I flip it and trim the bottom. So the next plates that I'm going to do, I'm going to try and get the same distance here, the same distance there for consistency. I'm going to try and get the same height. Recreating the same thing multiple times, that's tricky. It takes a good amount of skill with consistency. We'll see how I go. I got 4 more.